here, the river Styx,
Yep.
flows out of the mountain, and it becomes
Cave Creek.
Cave Creek.
Right here, and then it actually goes down below. You'll see in front of the chateau into another pool of Cave Creek. And then if you go through the visitor center and the gift shop that they have down there, you'll actually see that they've diverted it to the course of the river, and then it goes down to a ravine on the other side and ends up at the river that you're going to be driving down once you make your way down the mountain.
7:30 in the morning. It's May 19th. Jeff and I are in Oregon, a town called the Cave Junctions, which is right outside where they have the Oregon caves. So here we are on our way to the caves. We're leaving an hour and a half early. It opens at 10. Just love these two-lane roads. We have to go into a town called Cave Junction to catch the road that goes straight up to the caves. Well, we just turned onto Cave Junction Highway off of White Schoolhouse Road. You can still see snow at the top of the mountains there. We are now driving alongside this lovely creek, and it has water in it. You expect creeks to have water, but being from Arizona, National Park Service, Oregon Caves National Monument. Ooh, God, this is cedar.
It smells nice out here.
Yeah.
It's a lodge up here.
That's right, it's a cedar lodge. Lucky we came early. Good parking. Hello. We just encountered each other as you're coming out of this lovely building.
Hi, well, my name is Sue. I come from Grants Pass, which is about 40 miles from here. Come up here every year to enjoy this chateau. This is actually the last year that it's going to be open. They're closing for a year, maybe two, to do a huge restoration inside. So we had to come up and enjoy it in the state that it's in.
Here is the inside of, it is called a chateau. Oh, got the organ bear. And that music sounds familiar. Big fireplace.
National park, another piano.
Okay, this is a picture of what the original chateau looked like. Here is where that stream comes under the road and into this pond. Cool diner. It's like a 1950s style diner. Hello.
Good morning.
What a cool diner this is.
Thanks. I'm counting.
Soda fountain, ice cream, drinks. Okay, so we're about to go into the cave, but we have to trade out any clothes that we've worn in the cave before due to
White nose syndrome.
contamination. White nose syndrome.
And every time she says that, I have to go like this.
So Jeff wore these shoes before, so
Which cave were you in?
There are two in near Tucson, and I can't remember the name. We did do a video there.
So yeah, we have our chateau here. This is part of our historic district. It includes the chateau and some of these other surrounding buildings, including our visitor center. And the chateau was completed in the 1930s. As you might know from U.S. history, during the 1930s, the Great Depression was going on. And I think it's a really incredible building. It was designed by a local man named Gus Liam. He really had no formal architectural training, had completed some buildings in town, and they thought that it was a good idea to hire him to build this giant, massive lodge on the top of a windy mountain road. And he completed the project for about $50,000. Imagine that today. And it's about to be closed for a little bit because we're going to be doing some updates on it,
yes.
making it more ADA
I heard
accessible.
about that. And this is the chalet,
Yep.
or the visitor center.
Yeah.
And it's mostly Douglas fir trees up here.
Yeah, Douglas fir. We also have some big leaf maples, some oak trees, and a lot of people's favorites are the ones that look like they have peeling bark. That's the Pacific madrone.
The madrone,
Yes.
And what's the elevation here?
We're about 4,000 feet above sea level. So to get to this point from town, you went up about 2,000 feet in elevation.
And the temperature we heard inside the cave is a cool
44 degrees year round.
Washington, D.C.
Washington State.
Seattle.
Seattleites.
Independence where? Oregon, okay. I only asked because I'm originally from Missouri, and there is a town in Missouri called Independence. I got real excited that there was going to be another Midwesterner around here, so maybe I wouldn't sound so strange. So if throughout the tour I'm using some Midwest slang, try and find the equivalent in your vernacular. But do we know a little something about Missouri, by any chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain is from Missouri, and there is a Mark Twain cave.
That's right.
Missouri is known as the Show Me State and also the Cave State. We have well over, I believe it's 8,000 caves across the state, and we find about 100 new ones every year. So I've been in my fair share of caves, yet I've never been in a cave quite like this one. This one is very unique. We'll talk about why while we're inside. He dedicated this a national monument under the grounds of unique scientific interest and inquiry. So for that fact, he also wrote, regulations require that all persons entering caves be accompanied by an authorized guide. That's why we are on this tour, and I am an authorized guide. I didn't just find a uniform and some keys and start letting people through. As an authorized guide, I get to make sure that this cave stays as beautiful as it did, well, yesterday. So we don't get to take anything from there. We only get to take photos and memories.
Look at that.
It takes a lot of skill to
I know. I make it work.
it makes, yes, it's good. That's a good reason. Look back at me. Cold?
I'm the tail runner.
Whoa, chili sauce.
I just want to say how friendly the park rangers are here.
I want to say how friendly you are too.
Oh, thank you. This is not our tour guide, but
No,
another park ranger.
Just a different ranger.
And your name is?
Ranger Ethan,
Ethan.
Yes.
And you are?
an earth scientist.
Okay, we're in the grotto, and this is the River Styx.
And it's a grotto because it has cave formation, solid overhead, and water underneath. You can hear the water flowing. We're standing on a grate. The interesting thing about this place is that this is the only designated subterranean river in the United States.
So I love rocks. I love all the marble that you're seeing around you.
So most caves are made out of limestone, is that correct?
The majority of the larger ones are like Carlsbad or Mammoth Caves, but we have a very unique one. We have only 3 marble cave systems that you have in the United States that are led by the Park Service, and you just walk through the largest and longest one.
There's popcorn on the rocks. This generally forms only near the mouth of caves. So if you're lost in a cave and you see this popcorn formation, it means that you're near a mouth, an exit to the cave.
In 1909, we were declared a national monument, and it became preserved within the past few years, so we expanded acres and acres of our protected land.
Only in the past few years?
Yeah, yep, it started in the mid-2000s era, so at about 2014.
Here's the River Styx again.
This winter we had days where it was a wind chill of -40.
And who worked on that becoming preserved?
The National Park Service.
Good.
Yep, and the Forest Service helped out a lot as well. But yeah, mostly Park Service. We didn't start doing ranger-led tours until the early 2000s. So every tour had to be done by a park ranger starting then and coming to where we are now.
And pushed deep under the surface of the earth when that intense heat and pressure caused it to compact into this more dense form that we get to see here today.
So anything else about the rocks?
But the
Thank you.
entire mountain system that you're seeing right now, all marble. But it did start as limestone about 250 million years ago.
Pressing has any effect on how much water is dripping into the cave. Because there's more trees up there, there should be less water dripping into the cave, but they're still doing that study and it's been going on since the mid-80s. So that is a very long study. It's hooked up to a computer that sits right up there. Yes, an old 80s computer. Now the imagination room is one of my favorite rooms inside this cave.
So imagine Pacific Ocean right here. That's this hand. And my right hand right here, this is the California and Oregon coast.
Okay.
So the seafloor, it's spreading all the way over, picking up limestone at the bottom the entire time. And as that limestone's being dragged into our coastline, you could say, it microwaves itself. It gets really hot and undergoes extreme pressure, and that transforms it into the marble.
This is our tour guide's favorite view.
Yeah, there's a view up here.
So all of that seafloor just subducts underneath our coast because it's a lot heavier. Just imagine very dense rock going under very crispy crust. So it subducts it and it actually uplifts all of our mountain system. The whole time it's pushing up that cooked up marble, and that's what you're seeing around you.
Oh, well, thank
Right
you
now.
for that history.
But that's going back 250 million years ago.
Okay.
So.
All these things look like aliens.
Like a crystallized waterfall.
Yep, and once you get that uplift, water comes into play again. not the sea at this point, but it's whatever precipitation that's happening on the surface of the mountain. Whether it's the snow melting coming down or the rain falling, combined with all that carbon dioxide in the air and in the soil, those two meet up and make the acid that's been eating away and seeping through the marble.
Yet that changed in 1936 when the Caveman's Club of Grants Pass held their famous caveman wedding here among the formations. Yes, I'm sure you're wondering what that looks like, aren't you?
So this was the original exit that poor man who got lost in there for 3 hours. And here is where he went into.
But the ghost room does hold some very unique things, and some things that might tell us a little bit why it became the ghost room. Up on the walls and on the ceiling there are these pure white calcite formations that kind of look like ghosts flickering in the candlelight. If you're in here alone, like we do in the mornings when we turn the lights on, you start to hear all these dripping water sounding like ghostly footsteps echoing throughout this section of the cave.
Feel that cool air coming out already?
So he was lost in the cave for went in 15 minutes and took him 3 hours to get out. Well, I feel really lucky to be here and see this beautiful chateau in its original state, as this 2018 will be the last year that it will look like this. This is the only ghost in the ghost room.
Show them, they could not find it again. My friends mockingly called it Paradise Lost. When it was found 30 years later, that name is stuck. So be careful what you mockingly call them.
Journey and we thank all of the rangers that helped us and gave us the information. These are bones of a bear, 3,800 years old. And the interesting thing is these bones were found right in that spot, and there was no way to come in, so they can't figure out how the bear got in.
We are now 233 feet above where we started, so if you think your hiking's done, it's not quite done yet. Up ahead, there are two ways to get to the visitor center. The way to the right is all downhill, all paved, all with handrail. It is 0.3 miles long. The way to the left is uphill a little bit. You're already about 2/3 of the way up. It's about twice as long as the other way at 0.7 miles long, but it takes you up above the mountain we were just under, giving you beautiful views of the valley below, a chance to see some local wildlife in the native forest.